update this August 26th. Now, it looks like we got a lot going on in the Atlantic Ocean, so let's break it all down. For starters, we have an area of tropical development in the Gulf of Mexico extending southward into the Caribbean Sea, all due to an area of low pressure just west of Cuba, east of the Yucatan Peninsula, with a 70% chance of developing over the next couple of days and a 90% chance of developing over the next 7 days. It is expected to make more of a north and eastern turn as it heads towards the Gulf of Mexico. Now, right now, the ensembles and the models are suggesting that it will continue northward and sort of make landfall anywhere between Panama City and Jacksonville. This is as of now. Right now, it's an area of low pressure. Once it turns into a potentially tropical depression or tropical storm, these ensembles, these models could all change. So take all this with a grain of salt for now, but this is what we're looking at as of this moment. Eventually, it will make its way into Georgia as a whole and then potentially southern Carolina. But looking at the long-range future view, this is a very interesting pattern that you'll see here. For starters, the blue is a European model, and then the green is the GFS model, the same storm, just two different models, two different forecasts, if you will. Once this system makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico, you'll see it start to form a little bit more into that typical comma shape that you see in a tropical system. And then as we head into Wednesday, this is 9 a.m., you'll see the system is starting to sort of split. And again, this is the same storm, different model. So when I say split, it means the forecast is starting to become a little bit different, which can have some pretty major impacts in terms of the severe parameters in certain locations. So overall, this is due to a cold front that will be moving in sometime in Wednesday into Thursday. So as we move into Wednesday evening, you'll see that the European model, the blue model, is suggesting the system will stay to the east of our viewing area. That's because this is saying that the cold front will come in a little bit earlier and go ahead and push the storm out the way. The GFS model, the yellow and the green that you see here, is saying that the cold front isn't going to push us out the way just yet. It's going to stall out and then eventually make its way into the central Georgia viewing area, eventually pushing that system out of our viewing area. So overall, if the system or the cold front makes its way in a little bit earlier, we could see minimal effects here in central Georgia. If it comes in later, we could see more severe parameters definitely in place for the central Georgia viewing area. Again, these are just models, long-range future view models, which could all change once the storm actually forms out in the Caribbean Sea and or Gulf of Mexico. So we're keeping our eye out on that as always, but that's not the only area of development that we got in the Atlantic Ocean overall. Got two more areas of development. One has a 40% chance of developing over the next 7 days in the mid-Atlantic, and then we have another tropical wave that'll move just off the western coast of Africa, and that has a 20% chance of developing over the next 7 days. Meanwhile, we got Hurricane Franklin out here just north of Puerto Rico, kind of doing its own thing. It is now Hurricane Franklin as of 11 a.m. this morning, and with winds of 70 miles per hour or more. That's why it is a hurricane, of course. Pressure is at 989 and is moving north-northwest at 7 miles per hour as a Category 1 hurricane. It will eventually turn into a Category 3 hurricane by 9 a.m. on Tuesday. Again, all of this is staying just off the eastern coast of the U.S., so no drastic effects, but we could definitely see some stronger rip currents along the eastern coast. And any names that would form over the next few days or a week or so would be Idalia, Jose, Katia, Lee, and Margot. So potentially the storm in the Caribbean, eventually into the Gulf of Mexico, will be potentially Tropical Storm Idalia once it forms. But you can stay up to date on all things tropics at 13WMAZ.com. For now, I'm meteorologist Jordan West, 13WMAZ News.